In less than a week's time, we are going to be getting an Overlord collaboration coming to Grand Cross, and a lot of people through comments on Reddit seem actually quite excited for it. Mainly for two main reasons. I've seen comments about it saying they're going to spend all of their gems. However, I thought this would be a good time to make a video going over what's actually coming towards the end of the year, because it's very obvious why Netmarble is dropping a collaboration, especially Overlord, at this particular time, because we have two massive banners coming towards the end of the year, coming in November and also December. So today, we're going to break down who the two festival characters possibly could be. Obviously, of course, all speculation, and not necessarily change your mind about the new Overlord collaboration, but, you know, you might want to save some gems, because two new Dark or Light characters coming at the end of the year. It's going to be just as rare as a collaboration, so let's jump into it. If you haven't actually watched Overlord, I haven't watched it myself yet, but I do know the opening slap, and opening 4 is insane. So if you haven't watched it, make sure to listen to this opening. You might want to watch it then. Alright, so it's no secret that at the end of the year, we get two back-to-back festivals, 1 month apart, so not really much time to save. Essentially, 1.8k gems need to be saved, plus you can imagine 600 more for the collaboration, so we don't have much time. When you have 2 months, maybe 3 if you include the actual time it takes for the actual New Year festival to leave, but that's not a lot of time to save gems. You can kind of get like 1k free to play every like 2 months or so. So yeah, if you are free to play, you gotta start thinking about what to summon for. So obviously it does depend on what actually comes first, and also, you know, how the characters actually interact with the game. But generally, I assume all these characters can be quite good because the end of year stuff, right? But it does, like this year, we're going to follow the same pattern and getting a festival in November and also the festival in December. So let's jump over to who's coming first in November. So the way we get characters is based on story mode. But of course, since there are only 2 chapters left, there's kind of not much to go off on, or I guess you could say we have concrete evidence about what the actual chapters are going to cover, so we know what's coming. So let's start off with November. It's going to cover about like 2.5 episodes, I'd imagine, which will cover basically the final fight of the Demon King, and we'll go through that in a second. Of course, Escanor's death, which I can not wait to see animated in Grand Cross. Unfortunately, if you're a big fan of the anime, if you haven't watched the anime, I recommend it, at least watching the scene, because the OST they used was actually unbelievable. Unfortunately for Grand Cross, that's one thing they kind of lack a little bit, is the actual OST, so it may not hit as hard, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how they adapt it. And of course, we then get to see a bit of a little like slice of life, a little bit of like them all like patrolling the actual world, and that'll probably be the final part of obviously November. Lead into December, we will get obviously the massive fight with Kath, and we get basically the whole Kez Arthur stuff. So using that logic, we have basically Kez Arthur showing up in December. So a lot of people would assume that Kez Arthur will be coming out in December for New Year's, and I don't necessarily disagree. I think it definitely could work either way, but I think that kind of depends on who comes in November. And I'm sure you've seen the thumbnail. Spoiler alert, I do believe it's a Meliodas. And if we're going to be getting a new Meliodas, if we're following tradition, then the Meliodas should be dropping for New Year's, and we get Kez Arthur in November. Granted, he'll be a bit early, but we've done that before many times in the past. He'll come out 1 chapter before his actual release, but then again, it's literally 1 month apart. They can either do one here. I think either works still, by the way. I don't mind getting the Meliodas before and getting Kez Arthur. I think Kez Arthur might fit a bit more in November, since he's going to show up in November, but also we're going to be could be getting 4 nights in January, so like we can lead into it. So yeah, I think that could be happening. So obviously, since the final chapter is just Arthur, we can safely assume that Arthur is going to be one of the festivals. Now moving into obviously November, which should be the chapter before the final one, we get the massive Demon King fight. We do see 2 characters. We see the Sins, but we also see 2 other characters, that being Gelder and also Zeldris. They could do Gelder as a festival. I generally wouldn't mind, but probably not, right? Like, imagine being a Gelder for like the hype festival character. Probably not. I wouldn't mind personally, but yeah, people have a fit. But then again, apparently people like Hell, and if I'm being honest, she is just a worse version of Gelder in every situation. But the other character is Zeldris. This is the one without the commandment and the green eye version, the good guy Zeldris. However, since we've just gotten a Demon King Zeldris, and you know, we're not going to get another Zeldris, right? But I do think this one could be a festival in the future, maybe going into next year. Because, yeah, this will be Omens of Zeldris V2, or at least have some better version of it. Because, yeah, I generally think that Omens of Zeldris in Grand Cross is the most shafted character ever made. Because they completely did his character so wrong. They shafted him in terms of not being a festival character, it's seasonal. I'm not going to get into it, but they really effed up this character. So I would love them to do it again and make, you know, do him justice, basically. But for November, probably not. And that leads into the sins. Now, like I said, I do think it's Meliodas, mainly because we have all the sins basically right here. We don't have the Go for it. You can see it on screen, kinda. And we kind of have him right here in his big actual mech, but not as a playable character. Once again, I do think we can get a festival Go for next year. But considering the unknowns are getting a bit out of hand right now with Hell, soon to be an Overlord collaboration with all the unknowns. I doubt they make Albedo a demon. So even more unknowns. I doubt we're going to get another festival. The team is complete. We don't need more unknowns. And this is why I think it's going to be a sort more Meliodas. However, there'll be two big differences. One, he's actually got Lost Fane. I don't know why they did it, but this actual Assault Meliodas does have Lost Fane. But obviously, if you play the character, you would know the character does not have Lost Fane through the actual weapons, right? But then the big difference is he will have wings. He can have wings here when he flies in, but I think the character will actually have wings to separate the model, and then maybe have some aura around him to basically separate the characters, and of course be a dark type character, or maybe light because it's kind of a good guy Meliodas, right? But yeah, once again, you can easily do it. It's not a bad thing. Or if they really want to, they can do a whole new design, but still base it off this Meliodas. And the reason why I'm saying this Meliodas is because one, we always get a Meliodas at the end of the year, so once again, following that tradition. But what he does is quite important. The first move is full counter. Yes, it's been 4 years. We're literally about to finish the 70 sin storyline, and we do not have a full counter Meliodas in the game that is an SSR. Not even revenge counter, because this one is based off revenge counter, but it's called outburst counter, and then the actual full counter we got was the SR one. So we haven't gotten the SSR Meliodas with a full counter, which is unreal. Imagine going like 3 or 4 years into Dokkan or Legends and not getting a Spirit Bomb Goku or Kami Kamiya Goku, or even in Bleach terms. Imagine not getting a Bankai Ichigo in for like 3-4 years. You see the problem, right? We need to actually get a counter Meliodas before the game or before the story actually does end. And this would be a perfect time. Also, during the fight with, obviously, Escanor, he does do a few moves, like notably this Tornado move that we haven't seen, obviously, somebody do. So, it'll be a good time to give the actual Tornado move back to him. And the ultimate will be a good send-off and a good payoff towards, obviously, 70 Sins and the whole story so far. And that is, though, 70 Sins combo move, Nemesis. So, literally all the ultimates of all the festivals in one, where he does a final massive ball and attacks the whole enemy team. And there's a massive AoE. Don't know how they're going to fit down to the ultimate move because it'd be too much. But I do think having a sort of Meliodas at the end of the year, where his ultimate move is with the Sins, all of the Sins, it'll be perfect. I think the lineup is just too perfect, right? So, yeah, boys, that is basically, like I said, Arthur is guaranteed to be the next festival at one point. So, it's kind of all up in the air. I think, once again, they could easily swap the roles here. But I'm going to predict that we're going to be getting Kez Arthur in November. And, of course, in December, we're going to be getting a Meliodas. Or we don't get a Meliodas and we get, like I say, a Gelder, a Zeldris, or some other previous character we previously skipped. And then we go into New Year's with, obviously, Kez Arthur. So, boys, let me know what you think. Are you excited if these are the two lineups? I think Arthur, once again, is guaranteed. There's no if what's about it. But a Meliodas isn't necessarily guaranteed. But following the pattern we've seen so far, we've getting a Meliodas for 3 years in a row now. They're surely going to do it 4 more times. And considering that Meliodas plays a big prominent role in the chapter before the last one, it's, yeah, it should be him. The next move is too sick to not do it. So, yeah, that's my prediction. So, boy, thank you for watching. And, yeah, peace.